1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Good morning, guys.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey, it is Friday, September 6th, 2019, 9 a.m. Pacific time, in the fourth hour of the Jesse Lee Peterson stream. Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate you guys hanging in there. And shout out to Jesse Lee Peterson for guest hosting me twice this week. Once on Tuesday and once on Thursday. I heard you did an okay job. Appreciate it. Nice to have some good help around here, right? That's cool. So, I wanted to bring up a quick point about church. With Jesse Lee Peterson, rebuildingtheman.com/church. Subscribe to Bond Rebuilding the Man on YouTube. It's an excellent little channel. Excellent growing channel. Check it out. And it's 11 a.m. Sundays. Plus, we put out 2008 episodes, Sunday services. And one of the recent weeks, today, on Sunday service, church with Jesse Lee Peterson, one guy came in to church, brought his sisters, a couple of sisters, and a mother, I think grandmother, and he had these plugs in his ears. And when I say plugs, they're actually gauges. That's when you have like a hoop inside of your earlobe, and it's all expanded. His wasn't that huge, but it's pretty big. And so you could see like the hole, like you could fit your pinky into the hole in his earlobe. Gross, right? And Jesse tricked him into, well, I don't know if tricked him, shamed him and into taking out the plugs, right? Because it's earrings, jewelry for men, huh? And not very manly. And so he said, and then Jesse's like, you have holes in your ears. And he's like, that's what we do. And they're like big holes. And he said they started out small, and then Jesse made a good point. He said, that's how evil works. It starts real small, and then it grows and it grows and it grows until it's like ridiculous and obvious. And I've noticed that that's the case. You notice it with drinking and all kinds of madness. And you notice it with marijuana use among a lot of people. And even vaping. People think that vaping is safe. We don't know if it's safe, especially with some people. I read on the news reports, the Hake News, top of each hour on the Jesse Lee Peterson show most times, that this 18-year-old guy who's been vaping, I was going to say smoking vape, since age 16, now his lungs are a mess, and he can't even breathe without air tubes in his nostrils. Terrible, right? They think it's related to the vaping. They don't know for sure, right? But he probably went overboard with it, is my guess. It definitely didn't help his situation, right? And there's a whole bunch of people getting in trouble with vaping. And marijuana use amongst the college so-called kids. Study Finds refers to them as kids. But they're not kids, but they're adults. Grown adults. But they have that kid mentality. There's a lot of people know that. Like, they're just delaying. Society has been, and parents and young people have been delaying not wanting to become responsible adults, full-on men and women. Guys don't even feel comfortable referring to themselves as men. Like, sometimes you'll hear a guy say, oh, I'm a man. But a lot of men don't even feel comfortable calling themselves as men. They don't feel like they're actually men. They don't think that they're actually men. It feels wrong to refer to themselves as men, even though they're grown adult males. Huh? And they're kind of right, actually, because they don't live like men. They don't have the mindset of men. And this marijuana use there's been a propaganda campaign pro-marijuana, and a lot of you guys are for it because of there's positive aspects of it, and there's a whole lot of negative aspects of it, and the culture, you'll notice, embraces the highness. They embrace the negative aspects of it. You'll notice it with all this pot culture. You know, they have all these movies, these high movies, where these guys act all funny and they make it a comedy. And yes, they get into trouble, but because it's a comedy, you're kind of like, oh, it's okay. It's just funny. It's just a joke. And then meanwhile, like, they're throwing their lives away and throwing the country away and stuff. And that's the case with all the vices, right? Drinking too, but everything. In the 90s, 3/4 of young adults said pot was risky. And today, only 22% of young adults think that pot is risky because there's been this propaganda campaign downplaying it. And you'll notice that they downplay the stuff that they want to promote, such as illegal alien crime. They'll downplay the crime. They'll look at studies where they lump the illegals in with the actual legal immigrants and say, oh, if you combine those numbers, the crime is lower than the American-born. You would hope that legal immigrant crime would be lower because we would be picky about who we let into the country, whereas a lot of people born here are spoiled and criminal prone, whatever. But it's not true. The illegal aliens do have high crime rates. They're like filling the federal prisons. They're like a significant percentage of the federal prisons. Justice challenged people. Yeah, people involved in the justice system. If you follow, I think it's San Francisco, justice involved person is a felon, right? So they like to downplay the negative aspects of the Democrat voters, such as illegals and their children, and the criminals, felons, tend to vote Democrat. So these people, meanwhile, they demonize the NRA. There's this big propaganda campaign about the NRA, the National Rifle Association. They are calling them domestic terrorists in, what is it, the Bay Area? Was that San Francisco? And, or was that the state? I don't remember, but it's Democrats in California, right? And they've gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. Reagan was a California Democrat, and then he became a California Republican. And he became governor. And how far we've fallen since Reagan, right? That's why you can't really put your hope in any politician, including Trump, because it's up to the people to wake up and do right. But it's funny, the contrast between the NRA being demonized as domestic terrorists and no NRA members that I've heard of have become no NRA members have become domestic terrorists. I'm like, I want to do that. Somebody is walking in and distracting me. So, no NRA members has become domestic terrorists, right? I haven't heard about it, but the NRA wants to defend our gun rights of the innocent people. But they want to say, oh, domestic terrorists, because a lot of domestic terrorism has taken place with the use of guns. And more crimes have been stopped with the use of guns than have been committed with the use of guns, I believe is the case. And this MD Turner on Periscope, I got distracted, wanted to say significant is not a number. But trust me, it's significant. You can look it up. It's like a huge percentage. Double digits. It's in the 20s or 30s percentage of criminal aliens filling the federal prisons. It may be even more than that. And so that's a significant number. Overrepresentation. You don't need exact numbers. And my point with that is nobody actually loves America except Trump and Jesse. Maybe a few other people, right? More and more people are waking up and loving America, but a lot of people say they love America. It's a cute thing to say. And, you know, these Democrats pretend that they do. They don't, nobody loves America, nobody loves God, nobody loves everyone, but people say, oh, I love America, or I love God, or I love everyone. Do you love white people? I love everyone. Do you love Trump? No, bleep no, that guy's a bigot. There was my conversation with an Antifa member up in Modesto, California, when they were protesting straight pride because it's white supremacists. Because we also said that Caucasians are responsible, at least the ones in the past were responsible for building Western civilization. So he said that, no, he doesn't love Trump. He's a bigot. And I said, you're the bigot. You don't accept different opinions, which is what Trump has. A bigot is somebody who can't stand different opinions. That's Antifa. They're bigots. Anyways, most people are just paying lip service to that stuff. Back in the 90s, I've been putting out Jesse Lee Peterson show TV shows from the 90s, and we have one from a four-part series, really, from 1995 on affirmative action with a white NAACP lawyer, Molly Munger, from 1995. Jesse Peterson interviewed her and had audience participation saying, we're black and we don't want affirmative action. Get it away from us. And she got offended at one point because Jesse talked about liberal white women. She's a liberal white woman, apparently, that don't love America. They hate America. And she's all, I love America. Everyone here loves America. All self-righteously indignant. But that's not the case. People are actually selfish, and she's just an emotional person. Here's an example of that selfishness. American Airlines mechanic charged with sabotaging the plane with 150 people in it, tampering with the navigation system to delay a flight. AP reports, according to a criminal complaint affidavit filed in federal court, Abdul Majid Maruf Ahmed Alani admitted during an interview Thursday that he tampered with a navigation system on the plane so that he could collect overtime work because this is his story. Who knows? Maybe it was actually terrorism and he's just using that as a cover. Maybe. Who knows? Alani explained that the stalled contract negotiations between American Airlines and the mechanics unions were hurting him financially, and he tampered with the plane, quote, to cause a delay or to have a flight canceled in anticipation of obtaining overtime work. So wrote Jose A. Ruiz, a federal air marshal who serves on an FBI terrorism task force. I could even believe this. I could believe this story because when you're selfish, you sabotage and undermine the company that you work for. Angry. And that's what the unions do. They, like Jesse's talked about, he targeted the angry people to recruit them to join the unions when he was a union guy, when he was a liberal. And that's what you do when you're a liberal or you're a Democrat. The unions aren't about, well, some of the unions, maybe they do some good, right? But the unions in general are about pushing socialism and anger and victimhood and free stuff that you don't actually deserve. More than what you deserve. Spoiling. And that was the bad thing back then. And look at today, it's so ridiculous that now the evil people are fighting amongst each other because some evil want to go totally extreme with evil. The LGBT stuff and all that madness. Most evil people, or many evil people, hate the gays too. And the good people don't accept the gays. But then they want to lump the evil people that hate the gays with the good people who don't accept the gays. And so they make it look like the good people are bad. Such a shame. And by the way, Trump is doing what's right at the border. I'll tell you guys about it in a minute. But I want to talk to some callers. Tim, out of Jackson, Mississippi. First-time caller. Tim, how are you?
How you doing, bro?
Doing fine. Nice to hear from you.
Thank you. Is this Jesse?
No, this is James. This is Jesse's former producer, yeah. Yeah, Jesse's in the first 3 hours, and I host the 4th hour.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I just wanted to thank Jesse for exposing the lie. And what I mean by that is, I'm a black man. So if someone tell me that I can't do nothing and everybody just standing in your way, so you better not move and you better just stand there and just hold your mouth, poke your mouth out and be sad and complain all the time. And I feel like that will never get us anywhere.
Yep.
You know, it actually keeps people stuck in a position because I heard a white lady call in the other night, and she said she was making all these excuses. I can't get here because of this. I can't get a job because of that, and I can't make it because of this. And Jesse was like, stop complaining.
Yeah.
You got to go at it. You got to go on handle your business.
Right.
And things like that. And I see a lot of callers especially when he's dealing with a lot of women that kind of try to convince him that, you know, this and that going on and all this. He kind of steps in and, you know, shut them down, and they kind of mad at him and stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's all good, though. But I just wanted to thank him for that. And it kind of wake us up and take us out of that, what he called it, that the children of the lies.
Yeah.
You know, because the children of the lies, I'm not against them, but I don't like what they doing. And what they doing is they're not being 100% accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have a lot of misfortune in America and stuff like that. But a lot of it comes from the political party that we vote in, you know, the Democrat Party.
Yep.
And the Democrat Party is asking us to accept homosexual activity, to let the women run our household, and to do this and to do that. And everything that the Democrat Party asks of us, it really destroys.
Yep. They exploit a bad situation to make it worse. In some cases, they exploit a good situation and make it bad. It's a mess.
Right.
I appreciate that, Tim. I'll definitely pass that along to Jesse.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Take care, man.
All right.
Let's see. Let me go to Rick real fast out of Hampton, Virginia. Rick, how are you? Hold on. Rick is not ready. Let me go to my second favorite caller behind Maze, Earl from Michigan. Earl, how are you?
Fine. How are you doing, Jake?
Doing fine. Thank you. Nice to hear from you.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I happen to see the little...
Come closer to your phone, Earl. You're sounding kind of hollow. You're sounding like you're talking far away.
I happen to see the little podcast from the past about the lady that represents the...
Earl, I can barely hear... Hold on, Earl. You're coming in real muffled. I'm going to have these people talk to you.
Just a minute. Just a minute.
You fixed it? Hold on. I'll go back to Rick real quick. Rick, how are you doing, man?
What's going on?
Not much. Nice to hear from you.
You too. Like you said there.
Nice.
What's going on, James? I'm happy for your show, man.
Thank you. I'm happy for it too.
La la la. Anyway, what I want to comment about is reparations. Man, you know what killed about reparations?
Yes. It's crazy.
Like go ahead. Can you hear me, James?
Yep.
Yeah, like they want to collect reparations from the United States government, but however, when you talk to the African nation that they set up field to sell the slaves, I don't hear them talking about taking reparations from the Africans, West Africa, or the Muslims, or Islam.
Yeah.
Nothing at all.
Nope, it's just from the white man.
Yeah.
It's just from America.
Because you know they already know, James, that Africa already said they apologize for their bad behavior, for their ancestors' bad behaviors.
Yes.
And move on. That's it.
You know, Germany, some German guy on the Jesse Peterson show, the clip was played. He apologized in German, according to Nick, right? Jesse's producer. To Poland for whatever the Nazis did, supposedly. And I just noticed, you know, I kind of like, although I think that there was an Armenian genocide, you have to kind of respect Turkey, or was it Turkey? No, I'm blank. I think it is Turkey, for not apologizing, not even acknowledging it, because they don't want to pay money. And you'll notice that money paid.
Because he had to pay money.
Say that again.
That's President Obama. That's what he's against, because he had to pay money too.
Yeah, he lied. Obama lied and said that he was going to acknowledge the Armenian genocide, and then he never did. What a liar.
Yep. Yep.
And so they didn't want to mess up their ties with Turkey, whatever. But you'll notice that this money paid to people, it makes them worse. We pay money, right, supposedly, or somebody pays money to the Indians, meaning the American Indians, the ones who were displaced, sent to the reservation, stuff like that. Some just, some unjust stuff happen, right? So money is getting paid to them. I had neighbors down the street from me growing up. They were getting money, and they were just miserable losers in life. And then the higher ups, the American Indian higher ups, higher up on the tribe decided, you know what, you guys are not Indian enough. We want more money for ourselves, so we're going to kick out a bunch of people that are like mixed Indians. They're not Indian enough, so we're going to kick them out, and that way more money for us. And so they kicked out this family, and so from the tribe, right? And so they stopped getting the money, and you know what? It was the best thing for them. They became business men, workers, and became successful in life. It was better for them. And I've heard this type of stuff happening in other countries or other islands, like I think Puerto Rico or somewhere, where they stop getting their welfare check and their lives get way better because they deal with challenges and it's tough, but it's so much better for them. And so
it is just so amazing, James, how I believe if you gave most African Americans reparations, they'd be broke within 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
Because, you got to change their mind state. I mean, every car dealer shop would make money off of them. Every cruise line would make money. I think you probably can say maybe 10% probably would do right with the money if they got it.
At most. And that's probably a way overestimation, to be honest.
Yes, sir.
Human nature is really, really weak. People are really weak. It's like this evil grows thing. Oh, you start with a little bit of drinking, and then it grows, and next thing you know, you don't know what you're doing. You don't realize how far you've gone, to where I could take it or leave it, but now you can't leave it. And same thing happens with all this stuff. It just grows, and people who win the lottery, most of them squander it and end up broke or in debt. It's crazy.
It's crazy. It is crazy. What do you think about, James, how the liberals push college so hard, man? They push college so hard.
It's evil. And, it's just an indoctrination camp where you get to have all the sex you want and drinking that you want. And then you're also brainwashed to believe that you're a very intelligent person and should be very proud of yourself, and looking down on the less educated or uneducated Trump voters who have more common sense than you. So absolutely, because from the public schools, see, that's why they don't want the charter schools and private Christian schools to get tax breaks, because that give parents options. Because a lot of parents want to send their kids to private school, but they can't afford to. But even those you know what, man? Even those are corrupt. They, the commies, I'll call them, have infiltrated the institutions and brainwashed generations, right? And so there's a whole bunch of commies and useful idiots for commies who are just only somebody with like perfect love will be able to be that example that wakes them up out of it, snaps them out of it, or else seeing something truly evil that they actually don't agree with. A lot of people wake up from seeing the evil that Trump brought out of the children of the lie, right? Because the children of the lie, the media and all them, they went nuts. They got severe Trump derangement syndrome because Trump is just real and good and simple and doesn't care about their piddly little stupid detail facts. And so he's not an intellectual, and so he's not a liberal. And so and he's not a rhino either. And so they hate him.
Wow. And you know what? It's so funny, James. At the beginning, when they first started the Republican primaries, I didn't support Trump at first. I supported Ted Cruz. Yeah. But man, now, and then once President Trump won the nomination, then I supported him. But hey, I tell you, I don't think no one could take the heat the way this guy is taking it.
Right. Yeah. Once I saw on the debate stage, the first Republican debate, aside Ted Cruz, and next to Ted Cruz and all them, that was when I noticed that Ted Cruz acts like a politician. Very politically correct, very, I don't know how you call it, but very like, it's just fake, really. Fake is a word for it.
Yeah,
or rehearsed or something.
What President Obama started.
And then Trump is real.
Correctness mess.
Trump was like one normal man and a real man next to all these like boys. And so from seeing that, I was like, no contest. Trump got this. And I knew that he would win against Bernie or Hillary or whoever it was going to be. Anyway, Rick, I appreciate it. Nice talking with you.
No, likewise to you, James. God bless you, man. May God prosper you in all parts of life, brother.
Thank you. Same to you. Take care.
Yes, sir.
Back to Earl. Thank you for holding, Earl. How are you?
Yeah.
Much better.
I'm sorry for the problem.
No problem.
On the phone.
I mean, I'm glad you fixed it.
The speaker on.
Thanks for fixing it.
But, by the way, before I forget, our prior discussion, I told you homicide. Homicide is murder in legal jargon.
No, it's not.
So
no, that's why they call it homicide.
Why do you think they have a homicide department?
Homicide is not murder.
What is that for?
Homicide department is to investigate whether there was a murder that took place. Because some homicide...
Right. That's why it's called homicide.
Right, because homicide is when a human being kills a fellow human being. It's not necessarily murder.
No,
because you can commit...
something else...
Listen.
When he didn't die naturally and someone else caused his death, it's called homicide.
Correct, because it homicides can be committed in self-defense. A murder is not committed in self-defense. No. Yep.
The other thing is you don't have to die immediately to have committed homicide.
True.
You can hit somebody on the head and they can die a week later, a month later, a day later, an hour later.
Fair enough.
You still consider you've committed homicide.
Right, but not necessarily murder. Murder means malice aforethought.
I did happen to see your earlier program about that lady on that represents
the NAACP
action, the lawyer.
Yeah.
And so forth.
1995.
I'm kind of curious. You said you'd like to have a discrimination back.
Yes. To bring back discrimination, it's a human right. It's a violation of human rights and everything else to ban discrimination on any basis. Especially amongst the human...
It's only banned on selected few issues.
Yeah, it's not the job of the government to read the minds of people.
And race.
Yep, you should be able to discriminate on the basis of race too.
So,
why would I want... Hey, Earl, say a black guy doesn't like whites, and so he spits in people's food like Jesse Jackson or somebody? Somebody admitted to doing that, right? Spitting in the white people's food. Why would I want the poor blacks to be forced to serve me if I go to a black restaurant that doesn't really like the white people? I don't want them to spit in my food. That's nasty. If you force somebody to serve you, they're going to be unhappy serving you. Yeah, some people may, they'll do it and they decide it's not so bad. That'll happen, yeah. But there will be a lot of times where people don't really want to. That's not right to force them to serve you. It's their business. They shouldn't be forced to serve me.
I'm saying solely based, somebody solely not hiring you based strictly on the color of your skin.
Are you a mind reader? Are you a mind reader, Earl?
Jesse, listen.
How you know? How do you even know? Okay, go for it.
If Jesse had incorporated that idea, you would never be hired.
Oh, come on.
If you say, I'm not hired Hake, just because he's white.
Yeah.
And that's good enough for me not to hire him.
That would be fine.
To the table,
I'd be working.
I'm just not going to hire him, you wouldn't have been hired.
Yeah, that's okay.
You would like to bring that back, right?
Yes.
You're a liar.
No,
Just,
because
you know you.
first of all,
You know you.
first of all, most people
only stay in the abstract, and it comes to you personally. You've been devastated. If he treated you like you claim,
like the white trash I am,
which they did, in fact, used to treat blacks. Close the door if they were black. Period.
Right.
So
don't they have the right to do that?
Back.
They have the right to do that. They should have the right to do that.
Well,
why would you, hey Earl, why would you want to give your business to a racist?
You don't have to give your business to a racist.
Then no, I'm saying no. I'm telling you, why would you want to be a patron, a customer of a racist?
Well, they live too. I mean, they eat. They have to. You think they disappear because you don't know they're racist?
You guys wish they would.
People get served by racists.
You guys wish they would.
All the time. You know, for instance, we listen to you all day long.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Do we say you should be fired because you don't agree?
Some of you guys do. Not you. Hey, what do you think? That's a good point, Earl. So, like, I can't imagine you agreeing with these people that want to shut Jesse down, accuse him of hate speech, and ban his streams from Facebook and all that stuff, and YouTube canceling videos where he's telling people not to hate the Jews and stuff like that. You don't agree with that censorship stuff, do you?
I don't agree with this. No, I think that you should be able to
right on.
express yourself within reason.
Yep.
When
and
you don't just
within reason. Why you qualify it?
Insert violence or deliberately try to incite.
Hey, that goes without saying. That goes without saying, man. You don't have to say that.
And the other thing.
All right.
Speaking of Jesse,
real fast.
You know, he's a hypocrite.
Hey, talk to Jesse about that. You're talking behind his back now. He's not a hypocrite.
No, I'm just talking about what he said.
No, he's not a hypocrite. A hypocrite is somebody who not only... Hold on. Let me just...
He talked about that preacher who labeled Trump evil and so forth, and stated that was wrong and so forth. When he did that to Obama, his whole term.
Yeah, because it was true about Obama. It's not true about Trump.
The pot calling the kettle black.
Your mom's black.
Now, how is he going to get on his high horse and talk about what a preacher shouldn't talk about?
I gotta go, Earl. You're talking about I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about somebody else. Why don't you talk like about that to Jesse like a man?
Because he don't give you time, boy.
All right, thank you, Earl. Appreciate it.
He cut you off when you disagree with him. He cut you off.
That's not true.
You start calling your names and you start deflecting.
All right, Earl. Now you're just accusing Jesse, and he's not here to defend himself. What a coward.
I will. You know me. I will tell him to his face.
All right.
By phone.
All right, Earl. Thanks, man. Talk to you later.
Adios, amigos.
All right. Bye. That's what we're all going to be speaking pretty soon, if it's not Chinese. Johnathan, out of Florida, first-time caller. How are you, Johnathan?
Doing great, James. How are you?
Doing fine. Nice to hear from you.
My question was, I have family that's living with me and they don't want to move.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And, I've been trying for the past year. I've been trying to do it nicely, telling them.
Sometimes it doesn't work to be nice.
Yeah, but I might actually go through go to court or something and get him evicted.
Wow, good luck, man. You know, it's too bad that men don't have that natural authority anymore. Where if you were like a man, you would be able to get them out. I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that too.
Yeah, because there's like men that children and women and everybody else naturally just obey. They have that authority that they bring. And it feels like so many of the men today, males today, grown males, even good guys, right? So-called, don't have that. They can't even summon it if they wanted to. It's so sad. But anyways,
Yeah,
do you have a question?
The thing is that my family is going behind my back too and talking to them to get them to stay.
Crazy. No, man. Talk to Jesse about this. I definitely recommend like a counseling session if you want. Because, and then also, this is like, if there's a time to pray other than unceasingly, that's a time to pray, because otherwise you're going to either be too nice or too mean and make mistakes. So talk to Jesse about it if you agree that it's a good idea. You know, schedule a counseling appointment. Lines are open now on the bond office, 800-411-BOND, 800-411-2663.
Okay.
So do that. I recommend it. But then I don't know if you're doing that silent prayer thing that Jesse recommends.
I do it because I wake up early to go to work, and sometimes I forget, but I'm trying to do it every day.
Suffer, as Jesse would say. You know, I said suffer, as Jesse would say.
Yeah.
He told without giving it away, he says this every time, so I think I can say it. He told that to the guy, like half the guys do pray every day and half the guys don't, you know, morning and night.
Yep.
And he said, suffer. And he says that in church all the time, so I feel that I can say that. Other than that, we don't talk about what goes on in the men's forums. They're excellent. If you ever visit California, I definitely recommend checking it out. Come on on.
Oh, I'm definitely planning to. Jesse said something about the 30th anniversary of Bond.
Yeah.
See what the dates are so I could go.
Keep in touch with us so you know our new location, because we are supposed to be moving towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Johnathan, good luck to you.
Thank you, Jesse. Yeah.
All right. Take care, man. Chris out of Costa Rica. Chris, nice to hear from you. How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing, brother?
Doing fine, but no man is good.
That's right. You're right. Hey, before I start, can I give a big shout out to the moderators there, Brandon Johnson, Scott, Beta Boot Camp, Get a Job, Giovanni.
Those are good guys. And shout out to our absent mod, who started it all. Spoiler alert. Thank you, spoiler alert. He's absent lately.
Oh, nice. By the way, and Quifa, the guy that you kicked out yesterday, is back on right now.
Oh, yeah? Oh,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
He was just, I think he was just timed out. He was just timed out. I don't think we banned him. He's I always liked him up until he got mad. Isn't that always the way, right?
He's a funny guy, but he passes the line. So whatever. Anyway, man, what I was wanted to talk to you about was, because I'm a former atheist.
Okay.
And about 2 years ago, God drew me in. I had wanted nothing to do with God.
2 weeks ago?
What I want to talk to you, I wanted nothing to do with God. Right?
Yeah.
And what I wanted to say is the false alphas.
Yeah.
I used to be a false alpha. And I actually had a girlfriend that was like 7 years older than me. And she gave me the biggest compliment I've ever gotten in my life. She said, if you were wearing a dress and you walked into a bar, nobody would confuse you for a woman. She said, that's how much of a man you are. But now I realize she was just playing into my ego.
Oh, man.
I bought into it. And now when I listen to guys like Joe Rogan, I can see the beta in them. But before, I looked up to guys like that because I thought, wow, this guy's a fighter. You know, he speaks his mind, but they're just full of emotion, period. Like almost every other sentence that they utter is they're talking about their feelings, and they pepper it in with some facts and some evidence and whatnot. But at the end of the day, they're just betas.
You know,
we have this like, yes.
Go for it. Finish your point.
Yeah, we have like this overwhelming, I guess, misnomer about what an alpha is, and people think an alpha is just a big, strong man that that not only talks his mind but is a little aggressive, and that's not the case at all. An alpha is just a man that stands firm.
Yeah,
you know, like you guys don't take anything personal. It's just so funny because now I see myself as how I used to be. I'm like, I was such a beta, but it's so funny because I couldn't see that, and it's so true what Jesse always says and you guys say. Like you're blind and you can't see, and it's reverberated in the Bible. Like you have eyes that you can't see, and I finally get what that means.
Yeah.
And something else. Like this morning, I started singing that stand-up song. That's an amazing song.
Yeah.
Because I realized the gravity of the song and how powerful it is. What it's talking about, stand-up, is like you stand up when you admit that you're not God. Because when you think that you're God, you're garbage like everyone else, and you're just in a sinful nature like everyone else. And standing up and that's what God wants. He's like, look, I'm gonna do everything for you. All you have to do is just admit you're not God. And that song is so beautiful. I got the entire meaning of it this morning as I was showering. And so that's what I want to talk to you about, like the false alpha and the mentality out there that aggressive men are alphas, and that's not the case at all.
You know, that's so true. Yeah. And then there's these college-educated people, or, you know, betas in general, you know, that are visibly betas. And some of the visibly betas have, like, fairly strong personalities. And there's this, it's an illusion today where a lot of people just mock the notion of physical strength, which is important, right? Contrary to how you... And now there's this push about, standing for justice, which they're usually meaning social justice, right? And it's just this fakeness, and they're rejecting traditional masculinity, thinking that it's thinking that it's all a bad example. They're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. So, like, you have the two extremes. You have the ones that are really into working out, meathead guys that still kind of know that they're betas, or maybe some of them don't know. And then you have the actual full-on betas who are just committed to being beta. And it's a mess.
It's a sort of intellectualism. And I was stuck in it when I went to college. I thought, you know, I read so much, and I thought, wow, I really know my stuff. Yep. And then listening to you guys, I realized I don't even have common sense. So what does it mean? What does any of this serve? It does nothing. Yeah. And I think that's that biblical question that Jesse had posed, and it reminds me of when I was playing chess one day, and this guy came up to me, and he saw that I was taking too long, and he said, "Study long, study wrong." And I'd never heard that term before, and I realized what it means. Yeah, it's like all you're studying is just baffling, and it's confusing. It's like, you know, stuck in a conundrum within a puzzle and all, and you can't wrap your head around it because it's like a bag of cats. Yeah, and that's what pseudo-intellectualism is. And I think I'd spoken to, I'm sure you don't remember this, but anyway, I work with volunteers here in Costa Rica. And I had this really young kid. They're usually university kids from different universities. And this one kid, really intellectual kid, and he was talking to me, and I realized he didn't know what I was saying. So I asked him real simple, like, common sense questions. He had no answer for it. Wow. And I asked him, what's all this intellect? What's all this knowledge for if you can't answer and you can't explain yourself in simple terms? Yeah. And he stopped for a second. He's like, nobody's ever said that to me. I'm like, yeah, I never heard that before either. I'm like, I just see that I know that I don't know anything, and it's amazing now because I really have freedom, and I wish that upon you, and I wish that upon everyone.
That's cool, man.
I think that's what we're... Yeah, man. Well, anyway, man, thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. I don't want to take up any more of your time.
Right on, Chris. Take care, man. Catch you in church.
Take care,
and the Fallen State, noon today, Pacific time.
All right, brother.
All right, take care.
Take care, man.
Let me, before I get to the rest of the calls, tell you quickly what Trump is doing right at the border, because there's this propaganda campaign on the part of the liberals, you know, the media, Democrats, rhinos. They're including Joe Walsh, by the way, who was a Tea Party guy. Now I think he's a rhino. Well, he's definitely a never Trumper now. He's trying to run against Trump, or was. So Drudge reports video, dozens of illegals walk around the border wall in Arizona. This I reported on early, like Monday or maybe even last week. The American Mirror says Customs and Border Protection of Arizona tweeted a 22-second video and clip Wednesday morning, I think it was last week, a group of 66 people, mostly so-called family units, a misnomer, crossed the border with where the fence ends east of Sasabe in Arizona. So they just walk around the border, right? And then immigration law requires that they catch and release, right? We let them into the country. Well, the Trump administration is revamping policies to end the catch and release of quote-unquote family units, to hold families together, so-called families, in detention facilities until their immigration hearing and full processing, because they don't show up to their immigration hearings. It's like 80% was one study, or one survey, found 80% of these illegals, so-called wannabe refugees pleading asylum, are pushing for, well, they come in here and they don't show up to their meeting, their hearing, court hearing. And so they get ordered deported, but most of them are never caught. And so that's one thing that Trump administration is doing. Earlier last month, Customs and Border Protection San Diego tweeted about how the wall works. Unable to scale the new primary border barrier and flee back to Mexico, 2 men who entered the U.S. illegally near San Diego were arrested by Border Patrol because they couldn't climb the fence to get back out of the country. So we got them. Barriers gave the agents the time they needed to respond and contain illicit activity at the border. So the border wall has been going up. People lying about that not going up. But there's a whole lot of undermining going on amongst the government, as we all know. And they're trying to blame that stuff on Trump. But it's not his fault. Customs and Border Protection also tweeted a week earlier, Customs and Border Protection has constructed over 60 miles of new border wall system along the southwest border since 2017 and expects to complete 450 miles by the end of 2020. We'll all have to keep track of that. But I'm watching Trump and the stuff that even the alt-right, I call them the alt-right, right? There's a lot of Trump haters amongst the people that are for whites, that want the country to be nationalist and all that. They're falsely claiming that Trump is, going back on his promises and stuff. That's not the case. The wall is going up. And we're trying to end catch and release. But we have corrupt judges and corrupt politicians and the corrupt ACLU, anti-American, so-called Civil Liberties Union, fighting against them at every turn. And, these immigration lawyers, many of them foreigners, some of them white, so-called white, and they're do-gooders, like that Molly Munger woman from the NAACP from the mid-90s, doing wrong in the name of being do-gooders. So fake. So, and by the way, Texas is losing a lot of Republicans, but take heart. That just means Texas is losing its rhinos. Drudge reported earlier this week or last week, Flores, some guy named Flores, becomes the 15th House Republican to announce plans to exit the chamber. So-called trouble in Texas. But I'm not really that concerned, at least not yet, because there's a lot of rhinos who can't stand the pressure of having to actually do their jobs like Trump is asking them to do. And so they're quitting, they're retiring, they don't want to run for re-election, and then Trump is a challenge to them because he doesn't care about being liked by the children of the lie. So they're quitting because they don't feel that they have good, they don't have good odds of winning. Jesse interviewed Alan West, I think, last week or so. Alan West, the Colonel Alan West, former Florida representative. He's in Texas now trying to run for the state chair of the state Republican Party. So he would be that is heartening if he wins that. People should support him. And at least as far as I know, he's a solid guy. He's like maybe a Clarence Thomas type of guy even, possibly, which is good. Anyways, let me get to my favorite caller, Maze, out of Dayton, Ohio. Maze, how are you?
Yes. Hello, James.
Hey, nice to hear from you.
Why if I ask you the question is, why don't you like Obama?
That's interesting. I would say because he's just openly, brazenly fake, and it's obnoxious to beta, right? That's a beta emotion. But it's obnoxious to see all my fake Christian friends from college fall for an idiot like that.
So that's your opinion.
Yep.
So that's nice of you to say something like that.
Yeah.
So when you ask me a question about your president you have now,
It's your president, too.
Your president.
Yours, too.
And a question like that, I'm not trying to convince you to like President Obama. You are always trying to convince people to like Trump. If they don't like him, they just don't like him, and leave it at that.
Because they're dumb.
You got to get all upset and all these different things that y'all just go losing your mind. And that man,
hey, Maze. Okay, so maybe some Trump supporters losing their minds, but the people losing their minds in the country overall are the Trump derangement syndrome people. That's why it's called Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah, have a Trump derangement because I don't listen to
No. You're wrong.
What he writes is what I go by, not by what nobody else say about him. I form my own opinion of what I see.
Hey, Maze.
When I saw that map the other day, they couldn't have paid me.
You ever watch
what?
CNN?
No.
Good.
Yeah,
I don't recommend it.
Fox and all of them. I watch all of them, but I don't take nothing.
What about CNN?
I repeat the same thing.
You watch all of them?
What?
So what about CNN? Do you ever catch
They
CNN?
are the same. It's not anything different in none of them.
You familiar? You ever heard of Don Lemon?
Yes, I have.
He has Trump derangement syndrome, right?
He has food just like you had Obama syndrome.
I think he has it worse. Yeah, I did. I definitely had Obama derangement syndrome, right?
And you still got it.
Maybe. Maybe.
And I'm not getting upset with you because
it's
you
actually
had it and all the other ones
at
too.
root. It's actually called anger. Anyway,
right. So when they mention his name, y'all use it as a little coy that Obama's name, like let's get upset and get mad and go vote.
All right.
This and get that. That's y'all business. But that's not why I called James.
All right.
The one named Hog in Dayton. He's going to tell me where I go in the community. I go on Stewart Street. I go to Patterson.
Mike.
I go all different places. I'm not afraid of the hood.
Okay.
But with him being, he's saying he's coaching kids out of school, he don't need to be there. He don't need to have his fat self sitting there.
I don't know what you're talking about, Maze. I don't remember that. You sound like you resented a past conversation, and now you're getting it off your chest. That's nice.
No. He called himself a hog. I don't eat the pig. Because it's not good for you.
All right.
Anyway, if he got something, I would like to tell him, but I don't think he can handle me.
You're talking about Mike from San Antonio?
The one that called himself Hog, no, the one that's in...
I don't remember that part.
No, you were not there that day that he was discussing me.
Okay.
So if you want to discuss me, talk to me.
All right.
See where your brain coming from.
Brain
power.
So
we hope the person that did that map, what do you think about that, James?
What do I think about what?
That map was Trump
the map.
going to go to Alabama.
You know, I haven't even looked. I'm not even that interested in the story, so I haven't looked at it.
Oh, you're not interested in stuff that you need to see with your own eyes?
Yeah, I mean, who cares?
I wouldn't. Would you have given him something like that to even put up in front of the people?
Huh?
If you were working with him,
I don't know the story, Mace. I can't comment. I saw the headline. I saw the picture. And I saw that, people were freaking out about it, but I just wasn't intrigued. So I haven't looked into it. I'm sorry, I can't help you.
When it was happening, I'm saying like, oh my God, look at what's going on.
That's just another, you know what? My impression of that story is, it's just another example of Trump derangement syndrome. People, the intellectuals.
You're watching what you see with your own eyes, and
because I don't care.
Something wrong with you.
Why do you care about that story? You don't live in Georgia or Alabama.
Obama did, you care. Excuse me?
No, you don't know me.
No, I'm listening to you.
I didn't. Obama was visibly fake.
You was a man and don't even know why you like the man because you didn't even tell me.
Visibly fake. All right, Mace.
Yeah, physically fake. Okay, so if he was fake and the world don't like us now, so the people around the world don't like us anymore.
Talking about blacks?
For what reason?
Because of how you guys act. Every time blacks do something wrong, you deflect.
No,
you're like, what about white people? You guys need to talk about your own selves.
You know when you say it, that you might be speaking Chinese or even Spanish.
Oh, sí, señor.
Yes, you have a problem against yourself.
Oh.
Because nobody's going to let y'all rule anymore.
All right, man.
To tell people what's good, and you make it bad, it's not happening.
All right.
Peaceful people are out now, and peace going to come.
I think Andrew Yang is a commie.
And enjoy it.
All right.
So you have a good one.
You too. Take care. How do you pronounce this word? Ritesh, I think, out of the Netherlands. First-time caller. How are you doing? Ritesh?
Hi, James. How are you?
Doing fine. Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, Ritesh.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was wondering if you've heard about the news story from England, where a feminist-type strong woman went to court and decided to marry herself because she doesn't need a man, apparently.
I feel like I've heard this years ago, but maybe it was recently.
There was a similar case recent as well.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't really looked into it. Those kind of freakish stories, sometimes I just kind of skip over them because they're so crazy. But yeah, so I don't really know much about it, but it's a dumb idea to marry yourself. Let's talk about delusion. And was this a white woman?
I have no idea.
Okay.
It wasn't mentioned in the article.
All right. I wouldn't be surprised.
Why is it that in this day and age, something as innocent and, in my opinion, as beautiful as marriage is being frowned upon and looked down on society, whereas promiscuous behavior and switching partners faster than switching clothes instead of bonding with a significant other of the opposite sex, which human beings have been doing for ages, is weird.
The brainwashing is so bad that we're using words like significant other. No offense to you, but they're saying significant other. They've been saying that so long so that we've adopted that type of language. It's the brainwashing against what's normal and right because people have been doing what's right in the wrong way. So the marriages haven't been working for the most part because people don't do it right. And so they throw out the baby with the bathwater and they want to demonize what's right and play up everything wrong about what's right, which is marriage. Play up everything wrong with marriage. Definitely. It's just like the way that they treat the NRA versus the illegal aliens. They say illegal aliens don't commit crimes, right? Don't commit as many crimes as regular Americans, which is a lie. And then they label the NRA domestic terrorists. So they
instead of Antifa.
Yeah, they hate good people, and they love or pretend to love evil people. They encourage evil, and it's all fake emotional, like it's all a rationalization. Like women are not just emotional; they're also intellectual. Intellectual is emotional because when you're emotional, you're sucked into trying to figure stuff out, analyze, and stuff like that. And then you become easily fooled by saying, like, oh, we should save eagle babies. We should save the eagle eggs because eagles can't get raped, but we can go ahead and kill the babies. As if they're only for abortion in the case of rape. They're not. And they shouldn't even be for that. So it's just rejecting good and embracing evil. I would say that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask you another question? When I watch American news and American television, I often get the impression that race relations in the United States is very politicized. Instead of going for what's right and wrong, people tend to put races in front of each other, like with attacks of cops shooting unarmed or armed people. Instead of looking at what the people are doing right or wrong, they're talking about race.
Yeah. It's just, it's the same thing, man. They're holding these cops to, like, an impossible standard sometimes. And then they're holding the blacks to no standard whatsoever. It's a mess. And it's so wrong. And they're also holding the illegals to no, and the Hispanics to no standard at all. They talk about black and brown are victims, and cops and whites are perpetrators, when it's really the other way around. Or, it's good versus evil in reality. So, yeah, it is politicized because the U.S. is becoming very diverse, and the whites are the last ones voting not for the socialist communists. And so they're using that to trash the whites, trash the cops, and anybody who stands for the law. So that's why they hate Trump, man. I got to go, Ritesh. Nice to hear from you, man.
Okay.
All right, take care. Catch you guys in church, KT, Josh, and the rest of you guys. I can't get to you, but church is Jesse Lee Peterson, rebuildingtheman.com/church, and thefallenstate.tv, or look for youtube.com/thefallenstate.tv, The Fallen State on YouTube, for the premiere of Dylan Volk episode of The Fallen State today, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Take care, guys.